Welcome to the video lecture on the novel Pride and Prejudice written by Jane Austen. Jane Austen was born in England. She was the second daughter and seventh child in a family of 8. Austen's father was a scholar who encouraged the love of learning in his children. Austen was a trailblazer in multiple ways. She chose not to marry and managed to earn money with her writing. She is recognized as one of the most important English writers of her time. She published 4 novels during her lifetime: Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, Mansfield Park, and Emma. 2 other novels, Northanger Abbey and Persuasion, were published posthumously in 1817. She also left behind 3 volumes of juvenile writings in manuscript, the short epistolary novel Lady Susan and the unfinished novel The Watsons. Austen's novels often explore the dependence of women on marriage for the pursuit of favorable social standing and economic security. Her deft use of social commentary, realism, and biting irony have earned her acclaim among critics and scholars. Characters in the novel Pride and Prejudice: Elizabeth Bennet, Fitzwilliam Darcy, Mr. Bennet, Mrs. Bennet, Charles Bingley, Lydia Bennet, Caroline Bingley, Mr. and Mrs. Hurst, George Wickham, Lady Catherine de Barrow, Miss de Barrow, Colonel Fitzwilliam, Jane Bennet, Mary Bennet, Catherine Bennet, Georgiana Darcy, Mr. Collins, Charlotte Lucas, Sir William and Lady Lucas, Mr. and Mrs. Gardiner, Mr. and Mrs. Phillips. So, the plot of the novel Pride and Prejudice. The story is set in rural England at the turn of the 19th century. The Bennet family, which includes 5 unmarried sisters, Jane, Elizabeth, Mary Kitty, and Lydia, lives in the nearby village of Longbourn. Mrs. Bennet is desperate to see all her daughters married. A wealthy young gentleman named Charles Bingley rents the manor of Netherfield Park, causing a stir in the Bennet household. Bingley is taken with Jane Bennet and spends much of the evening dancing with her at a ball. Bingley's close friend Mr. Darcy initially refuses to dance with Elizabeth, which makes everyone view him as arrogant. Over subsequent weeks, Mr. Darcy finds himself increasingly attracted to Elizabeth's charm and intelligence. Jane falls ill at Netherfield and Elizabeth comes to care for her. Mr. Collins, a young clergyman who stands to inherit Mr. Bennet's property, visits the Bennets in search of a wife. Mr. Collins proposes to Elizabeth, but she turns him down. Mr. Collins then proposes to Charlotte Lucas, Elizabeth's best friend, who accepts. The Bennet girls become friendly with military officers, including Wickham, who tells Elizabeth how Darcy cheated him out on an inheritance. Bingley and Darcy leave Netherfield and return to London, much to Jane's dismay. Elizabeth visits Charlotte and Mr. Collins, where she encounters Lady Catherine de Barrow, Darcy's aunt. Darcy proposes to Elizabeth, but she rejects him due to her prejudice against him. Elizabeth learns that Darcy had intervened in Jane and Bingley's relationship, further fueling her dislike for Darcy. After reading a letter from Darcy explaining his actions, Elizabeth's feelings begin to change. Elizabeth and Darcy meet again at Pemberley, Darcy's estate, where Elizabeth's feelings for Darcy continue to grow. And unfortunately, Lydia elopes with Wickham, causing a scandal. Darcy helps to locate Lydia and Wickham and arranges their marriage, thus saving the Bennet family from disgrace. Bingley returns to Netherfield and proposes to Jane, who accepts. Darcy proposes to Elizabeth again, and this time she accepts. Hence, the novel ends with the marriages of Jane and Bingley and Elizabeth and Darcy. Thanks for watching.